Clock speed. Clock speed is the speed at which your CPU can process information. The more clock speed, the more quickly it can process things. However, it's not the only thing that affects performance. When you look at processors, the main things that are advertised are things like clock speed and cores. Cores are independent units that are also used to read and execute instructions. However, when you buy a processor with more cores, the clock speed per core won't be as high as a processor with fewer cores as a general rule. The question is it better to buy a processor based off of the amount of cores or the clock speed? Well, it's rather simple. With more cores, you are able to multitask more easily, and clock speed increases your single-thread performance, meaning that if you're just looking to play games, you might want fewer cores and more clock speed, and if you're running multiple programs at once, you probably want more cores. It's also worth noting that getting a processor with more clock speed is a cheaper option than more cores. Clock speed is measured in gigahertz now, with modern processors reaching around 4 GHz for a production model. A computer with 2 GHz reaches 2 billion cycles per second. This certainly sounds like a lot, but each instruction that your computer sends takes multiple cycles. Whereas an Intel 80286 microprocessor with 6 MHz requires 20 cycles to multiply two numbers. An Intel 80486 or later processor can perform the same calculation in a single clock tick. Of course, we've long since moved past these speeds, as those processors were made back in the 1900s. Now some questions. What is used to measure clock speed in modern-era computers? How many cycles per second do you reach with exactly 1 GHz? What is pipelining? What's the difference between cycles per second and instructions per second? What is cheaper, getting more cores or better clock speed?